All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our first ANR Extension Agent Zoom of the year. We've got these scheduled kind of scattered about every couple of months or so when we don't have an in-person meeting. And so I hope each one of these will be helpful. And I would invite you to feel free anytime if you have suggestions or ideas, or a certain time that you'd like to have a specialist join us or somebody else, a program partner or somebody, or if you'd like to share something with us down the road in these Zoom meetings. We've got a lot of flexibility, and we'll try to keep them 90 minutes or less. I think we'll be closer to the 60-minute mark today, but we'll see how it goes. There might be some discussion at the end. I am aware of the Master Gardener meeting that starts at 10. So if you have a Master Gardener program, then I would expect you probably are going to sign off before 10 o'clock to join that, and you're welcome to just watch the recording of the rest of this meeting to catch up on what we covered. So no problem there if you need to leave or miss the whole meeting. Of course, you wouldn't be here if you did. So we'll have some time for announcements at the end of the session. And if you have any multi-county programs that you want to announce or share with everybody, questions to ask of me or of your peers, or just other comments to share with the group, you're welcome to do that at that time. I'd also be very happy if anyone wants to share any outcomes or comments from those small group sessions that we had at the ANR program planning meeting in December. We ran out of time that day to share with the group, but there might be some comments that y'all want to share from those small group breakout meetings around those specific ANR program topics. I'll also mention one more thing, and you can keep this in mind for future reference. If anyone wants to stay on this Zoom and talk to someone else or have a little committee meeting or multi-county planning meeting for an upcoming program, you're always welcome to do that. And you can just let me know, and I'll make one of y'all the host, or you may want me to stick around too. But if you can make the most of these meetings, encourage you to do that. For just a minute, I want to introduce our three newest extension agents, and I have not looked to see if they're all on board here. They might be, they might not be, but the third newest ANR extension agent is in Scott County, and it's Anna Gafford. A lot of you did meet Anna at the program planning meeting, but I just wanted to point her out if you missed that one. And she was also at Extension Conference. So Anna, if you want to say hello, I just want to remind them who you are.
Hi, everyone. Good morning.
All right, very good. Now in Hancock County, we have a new ANR extension agent. She started January 1st, and her name is Alyssa Large. Alyssa, are you in here?
I'm here.
Ah, there you are. All right. Welcome to your first ANR extension agent meeting. We're glad to have you with us.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
All right. And we also have a brand new agriculture extension agent in McMinn County. She has 30% adult agriculture responsibility, 70% 4-H, and her primary area is going to be horticulture. And that is Melissa Coffey. And I have not even met Melissa yet, and don't know that she's going to be in here on her first day, but I wanted y'all to know about her. And if she is here, we'll let her say hello, but I'm not seeing her. Don't see Tim either. He must have his hands full. Doing some.
I'm here, Ty.
Hey, there you are, Tim. You think Melissa's going to jump in here, or is she busy this morning?
I don't know if she'll be on. I'm not at the office today, so I'm not sure.
Okay, no problem. She'll have the recording when she has time to watch it. The first day is pretty crazy. Well, good to see you, Tim. So I think we're ready to go ahead and jump into our first item on the agenda. And let me tell you that we've got two speakers today. The second speaker will be Dr. Daryl Hensley to talk to us about the updating in the procedures for private applicator training and all that. But our first speaker is Justin McKinney, And I see Justin's on here. He was on here early. So he's going to give us an update on the Northeast Tennessee Ag Research and Education Center. And it was a really fun day. Just happened to be that I was up there the day that that he got a phone call while we were walking around the research center there from Dr. Shin that gave him permission to pull the big tarp off the sign and unveil the new name for the research center there. So that was really exciting. And I know there's been a lot of buzz and interest in the net rec ever since the UT beef video came out that Charles Denny did, and that was really exciting. So Justin, I'm going to turn it over to you, and we'll have a little time at the end if anybody wants to ask some questions or have a little discussion with Justin. So thanks for being with us, Justin.
Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Ty, for extending the invitation for me to come and speak with this group. I think Ag Research and Extension, the collaboration is second to none here in the state of Tennessee. So really happy to work with everyone. Can everyone hear me? All right, I'm going to try to share my screen here. I'd like to show you a few slides. How about now? Does that look good?
I'm not seeing it yet, but
it's still coming up, Justin. I'm not sure what.
Looks like it's got a little delay. It's black, but it says you're starting screen sharing.
Okay. We'll give it a few minutes. We received 8/10.
We lost your audio too, Justin.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you
Now
now.
we can.
We just lost you for a minute there.
And can you see the video or
No,
the
we
presentation?
cannot. It's not screen sharing right now. We may have to start that again. All right, we've got a screen that looks like you're trying to share it, but it's black for some reason.
Oh, Let me try it again.
Yeah, nothing seems to be changing. Happy for you to unshare and share again or whatever you want to do. If we can't get it to run, we can definitely send a link out to everybody after the meeting.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
It appears that someone else is sharing a screen, so it says that it has been paused on my side. Do I have permission to share?
Yes. In fact, I'm gonna make you a host just to make sure there's no problem there, but it shouldn't be an issue. Okay, I've got you assigned as a co-host.
Okay. Well, what do we have? Anything yet?
Yeah, it says Justin McKinney has started screen sharing. And for some reason it says double click to enter full screen mode. I think that's just my computer, but we're just getting that black screen. Hey, we got something here. We've got your PowerPoint up now. And now we're in presentation view there. It looks good, Justin.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, everyone. It just kept saying that it was trying to share my screen. But I hope everyone can see the title slide. Thanks again for the invitation. I'll try to speed this up a little bit so we can stay on track. But it's a real honor to work with each and every one of you. And know that on behalf of my staff, you are cordially welcome to the center whenever there's a need in your community. If you want to be able to bring a producer out to look at something that we have planted or livestock application, know that we would like to be able to serve you. It's my heart's desire and the goal of this research center to serve East Tennessee counties, the 12 counties that represent Upper East Tennessee, as well as other East Tennessee counties. You're always welcome to come here because we want this center to truly represent the topography and the challenges that producers face right now. I think mud would be a good example. Mud and cattle are the topic for today. But for those, Ty indicated that we have some newcomers as well as some seasoned agents on the call. So I thought I'd give a little bit of background on ag research. Many of you may know that we have 10 ag research and education centers spread across the state. Each one of them represents the state's diversity of agriculture. There are many topography changes as you move from Mountain City all the way over to the Memphis area. And the centers are strategically placed to address those regions. Today, I will be talking about the Greenville Center. We are the only research center east of our flagship campus in Knoxville. And this center is an interdisciplinary center. So we have both plant, veterinary science, as well as other livestock applications here at this center. And I think this statement kind of sums up what we want to be able to do. So the Northeast Tennessee Ag Research and Education Center, NETREC is our acronym, helps to discover and improve scientific fundamentals that will improve agronomic and livestock production practices for Upper East Tennessee producers by improving profitability at the farm gate. That's what we're here for. So no matter if you're big commercial farming operation or a hobby farm, it needs to be a profitable operation if you want to maintain possession of that property in order to maybe pass it down to other generations or create a more sustainable homestead. Here's an outline of where I'm headed today with my presentation. I'll give you a little bit of background about who I am. We'll talk about the station's personnel, the rich history of this research center that dates back to 1932. You may not recognize our name now, but you'll recognize our old name for sure, especially for those natives of this area. Talk a little bit about the facilities, kind of give you an idea of some of the things that we can handle here. If you have an interest, we're all ears. Talk about our current research, consumer horticulture activities, as well as the future research that we think will be coming to this area. And then I'll sum it up with our outreach program. Is everyone able to still hear me okay? All right, great. I see some heads nodding. So I'm not a huge advocate of talking about myself, but I started my directorship in 2019. I'm a third generation cattle and citrus producer and grew up on a family farm where all the expenses had to be covered from our agribusiness operation. So I know what it's like to struggle at times and to thrive throughout the year and to try to put food on the table for a family. I was the first to be able to leave that family operation and attend college and graduate. And the university offered me a job shortly after I finished up my bachelor's degree. I graduated, I'm a two-time graduate from that other Southeastern school that we don't talk a whole lot about here in Tennessee. But I'm also happy to announce that it's a real privilege to be able to be a PhD student and candidate in the University of Tennessee's Plant Science Department. So I have some agriculture industry experience, not only in my family operation, but I worked for a couple of chemical companies, and I've worked for veterinarians pretty much off and on all my life when I was going to school. But I started my higher ed career a number of years ago, and now I've got 21 years of experience, 8 years as a director. When I'm not here at work, I enjoy spending time on my family farm in Claiborne County with my wife, Joan, of 19 years, who is a veterinarian. And we have 4 young sons, 3 of which are pictured here. This picture was taken last week at the UT Gardens in Knoxville. So I'm a very blessed man to be here at UT, as well as my family operation. The treasure of NetRec is certainly its seasoned staff. I have the privilege of working with this wonderful group, which consists of 4 unique generations that begin with baby boomers, Generation X, millennials, and Generation Z, all of which contribute to support our UT faculty and staff and graduate students. This is an amazing group with an exceptional skill set, and they serve our research portfolio very well. So at this time, we have 3 research associates, 2 research technicians, 1 agriculture specialist, and 2 field livestock workers. We are a small group, but we are very efficient at what we do. And it's a real privilege to work with one another. So the history of our research center, we're now known as UT Ag Research. We used to be known as the Experiment Station. So we are formally known as the Tobacco Experiment Station, founded in 1932. Since its inception, we've been able to release many tobacco varieties, specifically burley tobacco, as this research center has hosted or housed the tobacco plant breeder for many, many years. And with that, through tobacco, technology has been developed to improve seeding rates as well as float bed technology. The center is well known for the tobacco varieties that are grown around the world. And Tennessee 86 is actually in the China Agriculture Hall of Fame. And that variety was developed right here at the Northeast Tennessee Ag Research and Education Center. So we're very proud of the work that has been accomplished on the tobacco side, but tobacco has been a crop that's been trending downward. It can have some negative effects on health, so we needed to become more diversified. And the center used to have a Hereford herd of cattle, some livestock production 30 years ago, but it was pretty much a single commodity research center for 30 to 40 years. That just that's a testament to how well tobacco supported this area, this region. But things have changed now, and we've become more diversified again to where we still grow about 7 to 10 acres of research plots for tobacco production. But now we've moved into livestock and other agronomic crops, which I'll talk about here in the future slides. So some of our facilities, the center is a gently rolling upland topography that's suitable for various crop areas in the small low-lying areas. But we also have some steep topography where most of the pastures, the only thing that you can really do to it efficiently and safely is graze it for cattle. So we have about 300 acres that are fenced for cattle with municipal waters. And we have a 3-year crop rotation where we grow soybeans, corn, tobacco, and that sits on about 75 acres. The total acreage for the research center is about 566 acres. So what are some of our research activities? For the past 2 seasons, the center has been conducting field trials in collaboration with Dr. Virginia Sykes, who specializes in variety testing. So we plant commercial varieties here at the research center, and that data is provided through our extension publications to show producers which varieties perform well in Upper East Tennessee. In years past, you could look at that extension bulletin, And you could see locations such as Jackson, Middle Tennessee area. But you didn't really have a location to see how well those varieties would perform on this end of the state. Well, today, if you looked at that information, you could assist a grower in identifying a variety that performed very well here at this research center. So we're happy to work with Dr. Sykes as well as the soybean breeder, Dr. Vince Pantalone. We are assisting him by looking at his lines as he's developing high yielding soybean cultivars that are resistant to pests of economic importance to that crop. Most of his program was built to develop West Tennessee varieties, but some of those varieties perform well in this region as well. So we're planting both the conventional and unconventional lines that he's been able to release through his program. As I mentioned before, we still grow a little bit of tobacco, burley and dark tobacco, through some classical breeding techniques through back crossing. We are still trying to create a less harmful product. There are private companies that still come to us and ask us to grow tobacco plots for them to analyze these newer varieties that are less harmful to our consumer. And we provide that service to them. Consumer horticulture. We have the privilege of working with Melody Rose here at the Research Center, and she was recently awarded a specialty crop block grant where she is focused in on creating a cycle of sustainability for the homestead. And a part of that, she's created a curriculum known as Back to Basics, where she's been able to service natives of this area, as well as a lot of newcomers to the state of Tennessee. And we have anywhere from 30 to 50 people coming out once a month at the Research Center, where she teaches the basics of growing crops, such as soil sampling, grafting workshops. She teaches in the classroom pest ID and then goes out to the station garden area and identifies the pests that are actually active on the host. She's also assisting us in creating an environment that's friendly to pollinators. We've been able to plant several apple trees and mulberries. We're in the process of trying to plant pecans and pawpaws across this research center to kind of create a horticulture mecca area that could be a site for consumer horticulture agents to come and to gather some ideas so our clientele across the state could apply that on his or her homestead. Viticulture is certainly an area of interest for UT. I think we'll see faculty member maybe hired in the very near future. Well, we have an interest in maybe planting a vineyard here. We have a neighboring state, North Carolina. Asheville's not very far from Greenville. So being able to have a vineyard and study what kind of grapes and other crops grow well in this area, I think is of economic importance. Could open up some opportunities for smaller hobby farms. We also planted 72 novel edible fruit crops across this area. We have several different blueberry varieties as well as several strawberries. We have a Richland Creek. For those of you who have not been on the Research Center, there's a small creek that bends around the research office as well as the house that I stay in. I think that greenway could be spruced up a little bit by developing a rock garden. So those are just a few topics for our consumer horticulture activities. Moving on to our livestock, as Ty mentioned, NetRec is home to UT beef, which is currently being served at our UTK dining hall. This is a collaboration between Airmark and Cisco. And this partnership was developed to provide a locally sourced beef protein product that was raised locally. And this can kind of help support supply chain resiliency while creating a more sustainable carbon conscious market. So if we're able to retain some of those higher producing calves that are gaining weight a little faster and finish them out on something like corn silage that can be grown in this area, we might be able to support local markets, and we want UTB to be an example of that endeavor. So we're excited about that. We're also excited that the university was recently awarded a $30 million grant with Dr. Pat Kaiser and several other collaborators, where we're studying climate smart grazing of warm season and cool season grasses, forages. NetRec developed 18 large paddocks to study soil health and biodiversity in a real world pasture setting. And this data will help us collect carbon economy information, as well as enhance profitability and some of the logistics that we see when we're trying to graze on warm season grass versus cool season grass. So we hope to be able to answer quite a few questions in regarding sustainability, and the new buzzword today is regenerative agriculture. So this climate smart grant should be able to support that. We're also working closely with the College of Veterinary Medicine to develop an infectious disease research facility, which will be used to study primarily bovine, but we also want to be able to maybe have an opportunity in the future to study small ruminant, such as sheep and goats. Right now, we have a BVD USDA funded study that should start within the next month in this area. That's a 2-year study that will be followed up with an associated virus known as bovine herpes. And we have several industry trials that will follow up those two, where we're comparing reproduction and calf protection through vaccine protocols to improve those protocols in our beef herds. A little bit more about livestock, interested in feeding efficiency. So soybean research is an area that I'm interested in. Dr. Pantalone's program has developed high oleic and low linolenic cultivars that could be used for livestock applications. In this study, if you maybe utilize a high oleic line versus a normal oleic line, you might be able to see an improvement in butterfat content in dairy operations. Well, there may also be some rate of gain advancements with that type of study as well. So that's something that I'm looking at for my PhD student, or my PhD studies here at NetRec, as well as some of those varieties are planted across 5 other research centers across the state. So it's not only supported here at NetRec, but other centers are participating in that study. NetRec is interested in developing its own registered Black Angus herd. Currently, we're starting off with a small group, but this seed stock is coming from our E-Trek location in Knoxville, which has a rich history in Black Angus production. Future research. So we talked a little bit about the College of Veterinary Medicine. We think that that's going to continue to grow in this area as we serve our faculty and within the college, as well as those students that are growing and developing in their veterinary career. I think small ruminants will continue to grow and expand, but UTIA still has other departments that we haven't necessarily seen a whole lot of activities out on the research center, such as food science. We have a few faculty members that are interested and have already planted some culinary herbs. We have some rosemary, some spearmint, as well as some mushrooms that are growing out here on the research center. So we're excited to serve that department as well. Plant and soil science, as the regenerative agriculture topic continues to be of interest to our consumers. We're certainly going to have to take care of water quality and environmental impacts that are surrounding that. Today, we live in a world where our consumers are very connected to what we're doing, and they want to know where their food comes from and how we're taking care of our resources. So we know that that's in our future research portfolio. I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the opportunities that we share each and every year to collaborate with one another. And one of the biggest highlights is our annual field day, the Northeast Tennessee Beef Expo. This is a true collaboration between Ag Research and the extension agents. It's really a privilege to be able to host such a large event each year here in Greenville. I would encourage you to participate and invite producers to come to that. I think that they would enjoy it. We also have Kids Day on the farm. We're trying to sow seeds of agriculture into the life of our younger consumer. They are going to be our consumer as well as future agriculturalists. So we want to get them out on the farm early and often. The center is also here for industry and for producer tours. So if you have a producer that wants to come over and take a look at something, please let us know and we'll schedule a time for you to come. Please utilize the center as needed for livestock meetings, in-service trainings, and many more. There's no charge to use the center. We want to be here to help support you and your endeavors. And with that, I may be a little bit over time, Ty, but thank you again for coming out. I hope everyone enjoyed the presentation, and if I can answer any questions you may have, please let me know.
Thank you, Justin. Any questions before we let Justin loose here? I know at this time there are some folks that are going to have to hop off to go to the Master Gardener meeting. So no problem if you need to do that. We were fully expecting that to happen once we got word that that was announced, and we understand you can watch the recording of the private applicator training. Justin, if nobody else is going to ask, I might ask just a little, if you could give us a little more detail about your beef cattle finishing program there. Is that happening year round? Is it, what does that look like there at the research center?
Yeah, sure. So the livestock operation, we are strictly, with the exception of the herd that we're trying to develop, the register herd. I buy a lot of feeder steers. We bring them in here and I put together small gooseneck trailer loads with the goal of selling a tractor trailer load straight off the farm. So we run anywhere from 200 to 300. Well, within those groups, we have those that are performing a little higher than others, certainly genetically superior compared to the majority of the group. And those that are performing, top 10%, we'll pull those off and we'll put them in a separate pasture and start putting them on silage. And I try to bring those animals up anywhere from 11 to 1,200 pounds. That's our target goal to be able to finish. So we're normally processing around 10 to 12 animals at a time for our UTV program. Those that are in that uniform group, we normally sell anywhere from 62 to 65 that we'll load up and put them on the tractor trailer and they head directly to the Midwest. Does that answer your question, Ty? So it's a silage-based diet, and we can grow that right here around our research plots.
Sounds good. Any other questions? Well, Justin, I'll just throw a few comments out. I really like the phrase you used, improving profitability at the farm gate. That sounds like a whole lot like what we all try to do. And that is a good goal right there. Glad to hear that agents and groups are always welcome to come out. Just need to check in with you about scheduling a visit if there's an opportunity there. And, I think we can all agree, but especially me and Justin, the more we all cooperate and work together, the stronger both of our organizations are to fulfill that land grant mission and serve agriculture across the region and state. So thank you for being with us. Anything else you want to share before we move on to our next presenter then?
Thank you for the opportunity. Please feel free to reach out to me if you have questions.
Very good. Thank you. All right. And our next presenter will be Dr. Daryl Hensley. I think he's on board here with us, and he's going to talk about some new procedures for private applicator training, and also invited him to share anything else as far as pesticide safety and education program updates go. And if you have any questions, I'm expecting we might have a few questions, and have some discussion. You don't have to limit it to private applicator if you have some other things that you want to bring up afterward too. I think if Daryl doesn't mind me saying that, so I'll turn it over to Daryl Hensley.
Well, thank you very much for having me on this morning. Can you hear me okay?
Coming through really good.
Okay, great. Just wanted to make sure the audio was coming through. Sometimes we have issues with all this video and audio stuff. The first thing I want to let everybody know that some things have changed with certification training. Now, EPA and TDA are requiring individuals to pass an exam. Nobody will be grandfathered in. They want to make sure that individuals are competent to be able to read and follow the label. And that's the reason why they are having to take the exam. So if you've got certification right now, your certification card is valid and it says it goes out in 2023. That's going to be the end of June when it goes out. And that should be your date that it goes out. If it goes out and you want to keep it into the 2026 to the 2029 certification cycle, you'll have to take a recertification, and recertification started January 1st and will end June 30th of 2023. So you can take that recertification. The recertification of training right now, the video is a little over an hour and 40 minutes. There's 30 questions you have to answer. You have to have a 70% or greater to pass the exam. You pass the exam, and then the county personnel will send that information into TDA showing that the individual attended the training and passed the exam. If they do not have valid certification, they would take the initial certification training, which is 3 hours and 20 minutes, and take an exam that is 30 questions as well, and they have to pass that exam with a 70% or greater. And that information would be sent in to TDA. The individual is going to be paying for the training for both recertification and initial. Recertification training is $25. There's no fee for the certification card. As soon as TDA gets that information, they will send a certification card to the grower. However, for initial certification, the training fee is $50. And then after the agent signs one of the forms, the AG 0652, the individual, the person attending the training would put their social security number on that form and send in an additional $25 into TDA so they would get their certification card. The county personnel do not retain any of the social security information. So that's on a triplicate form that you can obtain through TDA to file that information in for initial certification. However, if you have a large group of folks that you're training, you can send in a spreadsheet if you would like. However, you're still going to have a social security number to send in. So that's the reason why the triplicate form is a little bit easier to do that. The next thing I want to show you, if I can share my screen, I'll try to get in here and share it. And I'm hoping you can see my screen now. It looks like you can. And you should see Pesticide Safety Education Program come up. Yes. And that is at PSEP, that's psep.utk.edu. That's psep.utk.edu. It will reroute you to psep.tennessee.edu. After you get to the URL, if you scroll on down to the bottom, agent only resources, these are resources for agents, not for outside. So I just want to let you know that's a quick URL to get you there. And if you click on that, then it will get you to the work group page. For those of you that are new as well as old that have been in with the program, this portion right here says check this out, helps out tremendously. So I'm going to go there, and if you're new to PSEP, this explains commercial applicators. If you're requesting points for a meeting for commercial applicators, This is a point sheet, a hard copy, and you can send that in to me or electronically send it in or snail mail it in to me. Or if you want to bypass me altogether and send it directly to TDA, that is fine. For people that attend the meeting, here is an applicator, a roster form that when they attend, you make them sign this form here. You can send in a spreadsheet if you would like, that is fine, but they need to know the certification number of that individual. It helps TDA find that individual a whole lot easier and apply credit for their attendance. Commercial applicators, depending on what category they're in, have to have a certain number of points. If you're in category 10, like most county agents, you're going to have 18 points over the 3-year cycle. If you came in the last year of the cycle, you only have to have 6 points. And those have to be from at least 2 different meetings, those points. So just want to let you be aware of that. Now for private applicators, this year, again, that's changed up, they have to pass that exam. I've got some information here. Just make sure that you send copies of the exams to Kim Brown. She's located over in Jackson, Tennessee. She wants copies of those because she wants to look over what questions that folks are having problems with. And that way we can adjust the training to address those type of questions that the grower may have. So that's the reason for that. Also, again, when a person's taking the exam, they have to make 70% on or greater on the recertification exam or the initial certification exam. But the recertification exam, Kim wants copies of those. There's also little highlights here that takes you to a new URL and gives you a little bit more information on the new requirements expected from EPA and TDA. Common forms that are used. If you want to download a form, these are some of the common forms. So I just have those listed right there so you can quickly get those. I have the videos listed up online. If you want to show them directly from the internet, you should have received a thumb drive of those videos. If you need the video, I can send it to you through Vault electronically, but Kim should have sent those out to you on thumb drive. And so, but this is a copy of the video for the recertification. And she also sent out the initial certification as well. If you want to learn how to input the data into the master producer database, I made a quick video here of that, so you can watch that and figure out how to do it. A PowerPoint presentation. If you want to pull up the questions, if you've got like 10 or 15 people in the audience and you want to show them the presentation, and then afterwards you want to throw the questions up on the screen, you can do that here. And there is an answer sheet available that you can download, and it's this one right here. The answer sheets here, the recertification and a paraquat exam answer sheet. The paraquat exam answer sheet, if you give them paraquat training, they have to make, the attendee must make 100% on the paraquat. The recertification, 70%. So just want you to be aware of that. Also, if you get the paraquat information, you're downloading that from NAPSEC, and there's an agreement with NAPSEC for you as a trainer. So make sure you fill out all that paperwork when you're doing paraquat training. The meeting roster, if you could have gotten that up here on these forms, but I listed it down here. This is a little bit larger form. It's similar as 318C. Paraquat training questions, I put those up. After you do the training, I've got a screen that pops the question up if you've got a large group and you want to ask questions too while they fill out the answer on the answer sheet.
Can I ask a quick question? Daryl, I saw it says master producer database. Do you want to comment on the instructions there?
Yeah, I'll go over that here in just a minute.
Okay, just didn't want to miss it. Sorry.
Okay. dicamba training. If the individual wants to use dicamba this year, they have to go through the training all over again. There's no test for the dicamba training, but this is a pointer to it. some information on field watch here. Glyphosate training, if you're wanting to train master gardeners or the general public on glyphosate, this is just some good information. We've seen all those commercials on TV that has negativity in there with glyphosate. That's the reason why I created this a few years ago, so you could get recertification credit for that. But now there's no credit available for this for recertification for private. However, commercial applicators can get credit for this. And I have some school event numbers for glyphosate if you're needing certification credit for commercial applicators. Dicamba, I've got a school number assigned for it as well. Recertification, I have a school number. So this pointer right here will take you to those numbers. If you need information about certified crop advisor, you're new and you don't know what a certified crop advisor is, you can click right here. This tells you all about the certified crop advisors. I have questions about that quite often. John Wilson in Blount County is over the Tennessee certified crop advisors, but this gives you a little bit more information on crop advisors. If you need to know more about recertification, again, more about recertification, I have another video here about certification numbers. If you don't know if someone's certified or not, this video here will tell you how to go about accessing the Tennessee Department of Agriculture's website to find out about someone's certification number. So all in all, that's it on this particular page. The next thing I would like to move to is the master producer database. And I'm hoping that screen shows up. Can you see that screen now? I may have to. Okay, great. You see that screen. Okay, this is the master producer database. And if you've given face-to-face training on paraquat, face-to-face training on dicamba, or face-to-face training on initial certification or recertification, we want this information in the database. So you can go in here and select information and put it in. So the first thing you need to know is you need to search to see if the person's in here, because they may have taken training in other categories previously, like beef cattle, dairy, or master garden, or they may have had old dicamba training that was provided several years ago. So I'm just going to go search for myself. I can't find myself, but I'm going to look. So just put Daryl, the last name would be Hensley and Daryl's first name. And so I'm going to search the database and it shows that there's one Daryl Hensley. You know, I'm glad there's not two in here, but I know there's more than one Daryl Hensley in the state of Tennessee. So like if you had Joe Smith, you may have multiple Joe Smiths. So you can look here on the address and make sure you find the right one. Now on Daryl Hensley here, I entered in myself, but most of y'all are going to be entering in your producer. So if you enter in a producer, I'm going to show you the data here. I'm going to go to edit. And this is what the data looks like. Last name, first name, middle initial. The more information you populate in here is better. You know, the county of residence, the email address, a phone number is very helpful when we're looking up information. Also, if they have a TDA certification number, you can go to TDA site, look it up, find them on the site, put their number in here. That helps us out tremendously, because if there's 5 Joe Smiths in the database, we don't know which one. So make sure if you can find the certification number, add that to it. If they're being initially certified, they won't have a certification number. But if they've had certification in the past, you can find that at TDA site. So I'm going to go back home and I've selected Daryl Hensley. And this shows everything I've done on programs in the past, dicamba training, and it shows certificates I've obtained. Well, if I'm going through either the initial certification or recertification, that's a new module or data for the client, Daryl. So I want to add a class or a program. And here, the program I'm going to pick, and there's a drop down. There's a ton of them here. So for either initial certification or recertification, we slide down here to private applicator training. You click on private applicator training, the county it was delivered in. I'll just put Anderson County. The start date and the finish date are going to be the same. So let's just say I did it on January 11th, 2023. And that training's all one day. So 1/11/2023. Any comments that you may have, these comments are not searchable and they're not printed out. But if you go back and look at this particular information, you can look at comments. So if you need to put something in there like you gave the training or they made a 97 on the test, you can put that information if you would like to. And you'll only add them in here to the private applicator training is if they've had initial certification and they passed, or they've had recertification and passed. If they did not pass, do not enter in any of this data. Okay, on the credits, this title here, private applicator initial training, is going to be changed. That's going to be passed an exam is what it's going to say later on, or met C&T requirements. That's going to be changed. It was very confusing to everybody. There's been about 3 people have used it, and that confused them. So we're going to change this title up here. On credits, you will not fill this out until July 1st. So don't worry about filling out anything there. I'll create another video to talk about entering in data here. So if they had the initial applicator training and they did not have a valid certification and took the initial training, that's the 3-hour and 20-minute training, and passed the exam, you can enter them in. And since it's 3 hours and 20 minutes training, you just put a 3 in there. That's for initial. Now, if it's for recertification training, they had valid certification and passed the exam, since that's an hour and 40 minutes and the testing's going to take another 10 minutes to 20 minutes to take, that's going to be a total of 2 hours. So we put a 2 in there for recertification. I'm just going to click this one for 2 since I did the recertification. I'm going to create this record. And then as you can see, it pops up and shows I had private applicator training and it shows 2. So I know automatically that is recertification training. Now up here at the top, some individuals get this confused. Private applicator report, applicator training report here. That is only going to be active in showing you information starting in July. It will pop up this data now, but it will be confusing. And so don't worry about this at this point. All you're worried about is creating this particular certificate right here. After you get that, you can go and search by the county, Anderson County, and it shows here. Now, if you need a date range, you can search by a date range, and you can search by a program as well, like private applicator. And so since I did Anderson and private applicator, it shows that. Now, if I did a date range, in that date range, you always want to put either the 1st of January, first day in 2023. And then if you want to search all the way through December, you can go 12 and then 12 and put 31/2023, and it should populate all this with everyone that's in Anderson County with private applicator training. Now, if for some reason, I know the system was giving me some hiccups earlier, and when I did private applicator training and I tried to go to 1231, I was doing that for another county that entered data. It didn't show me anything. So if you just take this and put all, it will show you all programs through that time frame a year, and it will pull up all private applicator trainings. And then what you can do is just hide everything like beef cattle, dairy cattle, and then you will see all the private applicator in your output when you output it to a CVS file. And that's where you go click here, export to Excel, and that you can export it to Excel directly to that file format, or you can do a comma separated value, a CSV file. So just want to let you know there's some ways you can pull that data out. So just want you to be aware of that, but make sure you put that information into the master producer database. When you export it out, if you want to send the file into TDA, make sure that you put the school number in the file, or when you attach it in your email to Tennessee Department of Agriculture, you can send that to pesticide.training@tn.gov. That's pesticide.training@tn.gov. And when you send that to them, make sure you explain this is private applicators. They attended the initial certification, they passed, or they attended the recertification, they passed the exam. But again, if it's initial certification, that form will be going to TDA with the $25 check. So you really don't have to send the initial certification training. If a commercial applicator attended it, then you may want to send out an Excel spreadsheet, because a commercial applicator can get credit for attending those trainings as well. So just want you to be aware of it. Do we have any questions? I get a big smile out there from a couple of you.
Daryl, I've got several questions. One, I would like to say, I want to make sure that, so all private applicators now need to go into the master database. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, they need to be in here. So you'll have record of them. You can quickly pull them up and find out who did what, and they all passed. They're only entered in if they pass. Now you can enter them in the database, but do not add them in the private applicator record portion of it until they pass.
Okay.
And, if you go like here, Hensley, let me go in and search Hensley again. Okay, we found Hensley in there, select Hensley. Now you can enter the data in for a new client and don't add anything else if they came to the training, but if they passed, then this is when you add them here and then click here for program private applicator. And then you put a 2 for recertification and a 3 for initial certification.
Okay, some other questions. We have, let's say 25 people come to the class and 15 of them pass and the others do not. Do we collect money from those ones that don't?
If you tell them to go online to take the training, then don't collect money. But if you're going to test them again immediately after, you're going ahead and collecting training, the money from them, the fees from them. Because once they get put in the database, you need to have the funds from them, because that shows that they've passed, and you collect the fees, the training fees.
Okay.
So the training fees collected from them, most people are going to collect the training fee right up front from them. They can take the exam as many times as they need to until they pass. But if you push them on to Kate system, don't charge them a training fee, because to get in Kate, they would be double charged. You charge them 25, Kate's going to charge them 25.
Okay.
Or 50.
Next question. The recertification needs to be done before July. Is that correct?
Yeah, before July 1st. So at midnight of June 30th, it's going to be shut off.
Okay, they ought to do initial then.
Yeah. And then after that, if they don't get in that time frame for recert, they'll have to take initial, either online or through your office.
Okay. Next question is recertification is $25. Do we send that money to TDA?
For recertification, half stays in your office and half comes to PSEP.
Okay.
For initial certification, the training fee is $50, but there's an additional $25 fee to issue the certification card. The $50 initial certification fee, half stays at the county office, half comes to PSEP. The $25 goes to TDA with that triplicate form that the county, as a county agent, sign it. And then the producer will put their certification number on there, and they will mail it off to TDA, so they will get their certificate, and they mail it with that $25 check.
Okay, one last question. I'll let somebody else have at it. The points, you're saying the 18 points, is that, did you say, did I get information that the private applicator is going to have points now also?
Okay. For commercial applicators, for you, for instance, you have to have 18 for category 10. But you can get points from this if you attend this training. So I just want to let you know that. So send your name in for attending the training. Private applicators starting in July, that's what this is up here at the top is for. Starting in July, that record of points will start showing up there. So July 1st of 2023, all the way till June 30th of 2026. If they attend any trainings at all, you go back and add them. You go in and click add a new program, and then you click private applicator, and then the county delivered in the start date. So it may be July 1st of 2023. The end date would be July 1st, 2023. And you may have talked about, let's just say, tomato diseases. Just put that in the comments so you know what it's all about. And then for our private applicators here, you just put, if that was an hour long, you put 1 in there. If it's 2 hours long, you put 2 in there. If it's 3 hours long, it'd be you put a 3 in there. And then in January, I'm getting ahead of everything, but in January of 2029, they were going to have to attend a recertification, and we're going to have a thing for recertification. That recertification, depending on how long you want the recertification, it may be 1 hour, it may be 2 hours, it may be 3. So you may have to mark this 1, 2, or 3. This just adds up the points, and then when we click up here to the top, that's what puts all the points together. But I'll make another video on it later on.
I'm just right sure I'm following you. So in times past, the private applicators did not have to have any points, but now they're going to have to have so many points to keep them certified for.
Yeah, they'll have to get 3 points. They can get the 3 points, and they also have to attend a recertification meeting. So if you want to have a 3-hour recertification meeting, and that would for their points and everything, they can attend that. If you want them to attend a tomato disease meeting in 2023, say in August, they could attend that. And then you have a recertification meeting in 2029, they would have to go to 2 hours at least of that to get their 3 points. Okay. So you'd have to have 2 hours there for recertification. But if you wanted to train them in 2023 for 1 hour in 2020, excuse me, I'm going ahead of myself. I said 29, it's 26. But if they wanted to go to a meeting in 2023 and then 2027, another meeting that's 1 point, that would be 2 points there. Then they would attend the recertification meeting in 2026. That is your 1 point if you wanted to keep it at 1 hour length.
Do we have to have special forms to certify that we're doing these classes, or are we going by the honor system and we're putting this in and this is all the forms that we need?
If you put in a request for points for your meeting, and you can send that in to me, or you can send it in to TDA. And then after they attend, you send the roster list and either to TDA or me. And then if you put them in here, you've got the roster of their attendance for that date. And then you can export it out with the school number and send it to TDA. That's one thing nice about this database. You can export who attended out into a Excel format if you've got a lot of people. If you only have one person, you just send in that one name to TDA in an email. And TDA's email address, again, is pesticide.training@tn.gov. And this listed also on the site that you went to earlier on the PSEP site. I know it's kind of complicated, but we've got it kind of outlined out on that site for information, but that's the reason why I didn't go over points right now on the point requirement for private applicators. I want to put that up in a video later.
I got a quick question. It's Blake. The papers we're sending you all, do you all put that in the computer, or before you introduced the master beef, was y'all putting that in the computer?
If you're doing a request for points, I forward that off to TDA. I kind of review it. I assign points. TDA finalizes it and issues a school number is what they do. And the school number is valid for commercial applicators to get points as well as private applicators to get points.
No, what I was talking about was this database. We're putting the information in there of who took the class. You know, we have to send you the roster before that you introduced the master producer program or whatever. What were you all doing with the roster sheets that we're sending to you? Were y'all keeping those on file, putting them in the computer?
Oh, a number of years ago, we just kept them on file for private applicators. But since we've got office space pulled away from us, we didn't have any filing system to hold on those. And that's what was bad. If a county agent left the office, a new person came in and threw all the records away. And if they got lost in transit to TDA, there was no record of where they were at. That's why I told y'all to keep them on file, as well as TDA would have them on file when you sent a copy to them. Earlier, you would have a copy, I had a copy, and TDA supposedly had a copy, but things got lost in the mail going to TDA as well as lost in the mail to me. But a lot of times if they made it to me, the county agent would have them, I'd have them. TDA said they never received them. So I could pull my files up and say, yeah, I've got a copy of them here, and I'd fax them to TDA for verification. But now there's no way to verify it. But if you put it in this database here, we can go back and verify if it's put in correctly.
So, and I think I'm understanding this correct now. Let's say I've been having people do recertification. So when they get recertified, that's good for till 2026. But they're going to have more points in addition to the recertification that they just took. Yes,
3 points. That recertification will take them to 2026, but if they want to roll it over to 2029, they have to have the 3 points with recertification. It's not addition to recertification, because recertification is going to be at least 1 hour. They'll get 1 point there. So they'll have to have at least 2 other points somewhere else over that 3-year time frame. So if you want to make a recertification meeting a total of 3 hours, they can get the 3 hours credit right there.
Gotcha.
One reason I like it is because when you give the recertification training, you can just charge them $25. That's 1 point right there. You keep half, send the other half into our office here at UT. TDA is not going to charge anything to reissue a certification card for private applicators. Commercial applicators will get credit as well. Is there a question out there? I heard somebody say something.
Hey, Daryl, this is Jonathan Ray in Monroe County, and I have a question for you. If a guy is a row crop guy, he would need to be a private applicator. He would need dicamba training if he's growing dicamba beans. He'd need paraquat training if he was spraying gramoxone, and he would need Roundup training if he was spraying Roundup. Is that right?
No, you do not need Roundup training at all. If you want credit as a commercial applicator, you can watch that. Or if you want credit as a private applicator, and in July 2026 or August 2026, in 2023, or 2027, sometime in there, you can get credit as a private or a commercial. But the glyphosate training is not required. Paraquat
Okay.
training is required every 3 years. Dicamba training is required every year. I know it gets confusing out there. That's the whole reason why we have this database to kind of keep it all together.
All right, a follow-up to Jonathan's question, then, like our grain conference, we probably need to have our private applicator and dicamba and paraquat, so they get 3 hours and they don't have to be recertified.
Okay, John, you kind of listened a little bit, but you didn't catch it up front. Okay, for private applicators at your grain conference this year will not get any points at this time. The points will start accumulating after July 1st of this year. So next year's grain conference, if they attended the dicamba and paraquat, they would get points there for those. Because accumulating points does not start until after July 1st of this year for private applicators. Sorry about that.
So it does no good to do 3 hours like right now.
That's correct. For a private applicator, it does no good for 3 hours at this time.
But they got to have the recertification before July.
Yes, they have to have recertification training and pass an exam before July of this year.
Okay. Well, thank you. I didn't understand that. My bad.
Daryl, this is Manny. Since I was on that committee, and I'm sure there's so many emails that come out. Apparently, Kim has gotten some direction from you and TDA about changing the exam from what was originally on the thumb drive, and there's some training this Friday for that. So just keep in mind on that, or you might make a comment on that, Daryl, too. So
yeah, I can make a comment right now. It was just some wordsmithing. There was some questions on the thumb drive that were needed some word changes in there because it made it a little bit difficult for someone to understand it, and grammatically incorrect on some of the questions. So those were changed up. TDA, we kind of quickly put these questions together. The committee did when we were doing it that day. So we didn't catch all the errors. And I saw one of them and I said, oh, it's no biggie. And I wasn't going to send an email out because I knew she was working getting it together. So I didn't send an email out. But I do have on the PCEP site those questions in PowerPoint formats you can download for the recertification. Those are all corrected, grammatically corrected, that were fixed the other day. So I have those. So if you just go back to PCEP and click there, and then go back down to the bottom, agent only, click on check this out, and the slide set for recertification questions, PowerPoint, just click on that and it will start to download those questions for you. And that way you can show that group that you have of 5 or 10 people. You can show that to them, and then they have their little answer sheet that you can print off, like right here on this page. You can just print those off, and then they can mark them A, B, C, D, and you can quickly look. She sent the key out. The key's not changed, so those keys are exactly the same. The words have just changed a little bit on the original question.
okay, thank you. Also, again, I'm gonna have to miss that Friday, but I think she's got some kind of a Google Drive or something that she's wanting people to upload the answer sheets or something into, just so she can get them to TDA once a month. Or I'm sure you are working with her too, but so just FYI on that one too.
Yeah, she wants to see those just to see where the TDA would like the scores, but if we tell them they pass, that works because that's what we want to know is if they pass. That's what, if they're in the database, when you search, we know they pass. But TDA would like to know what the scores are, kind of give them an idea. And then Kim wants to know which ones they missed so we can work on those questions either in the training or either pull those questions out of the testing totally because they may be too difficult for somebody or just put something in there totally different.
Okay, thank you.
I have
Darryl,
one
let's-
other,
I'm sorry, go ahead, whoever.
my other question was this list of last year's or people that have private applicators. I missed seeing that on there. Where is that?
Kim, I think, sent a list out on her thumb drive of the private applicators. I believe she sent that list out on that thumb drive. If you didn't get a hold of that, I can see if I can find that again on this end and send that to you. That would have all the counties that were private applicators.
I think that was current like through October 15th or something like that, the one that's on the thumb drive.
Yeah.
If we did need it from TDA, would we better, I shouldn't say this, I guess. Darryl, would we be better off to ask him or who would we get that from TDA if we needed it?
If you need it from TDA, email Kathy Booker directly,
Okay.
and that's Kathy.Booker@tn.gov.
Okay, thank you.
Kathy, and it's Kathy with a K, Kathy Booker, Booker @tn.gov. Jonathan, you look like you got a question.
I do. Let's go down this road just real quick. Refresh my memory on worker protection. What's the latest and the greatest and how's all that work?
Okay, latest and greatest on worker protection. You have to show them valid, approved EPA training material, and they will want that 30 minutes to an hour length of time, the person attending the training. You get a roster sheet of everybody that's attended and send that in to Tennessee Department of Agriculture. And that's all you have to do. Now, it's not required for agents to show the training. It is mandatory that the employer of the worker or the handler make sure that these workers attend the training. That's the deal right there. So all that material is available online. If you go back to the PCEP's main PCEP site, and at the top of the page on the ribbon up here at the top, you got private applicator, commercial licensing, and worker protection standard. Click on worker protection standard. And there's a lot of videos that are available, web-based training in Spanish and English. As long as they have training once per year, a worker, they're good to go. That roster needs to be sent in to Tennessee Department of Agriculture, and you can send that again to pesticide.training@tn.gov, and make sure within the text of your email, you're letting them know at TDA that is for worker protection standard. There's no social security numbers, no certification numbers for worker protection standard. You just list their first name, last name, their address, and their employer's name. There's a form for that as well. And on this site that you can go find and download that. I hadn't looked at this site in a while, but that's available. But TDA does not have to have a social security number for a worker.
And did I hear you say that the farmer themselves can, as long as they're showing the right material, they can show it themselves?
That's correct. And they need to make sure that they have private applicator certification, the farmer. And these workers are not allowed to be spraying any restricted use products. A worker can apply a general use, but cannot be spraying any restricted use products. When it gets to restricted, they have to have a certification card. And they're called handlers at that point when they're spraying. Again, on the certification, the trainer has to have, the farmer would be category 1, category 3, or category 10. They're either a private applicator or commercial applicator, category 1, 3, or 10.
One last question, Daryl, on the fees. I know that, I think what you said is the recertification is a $25 fee to the extension office, and then the agents send half of that to the PSEP office at UT.
That's correct.
And then if it's recertification, it's a $50 fee.
No, initial certification.
Initial certification is a $50 fee where half would go to you, half would stay in the county. And then the producer would also need to send $25 directly to TDA, or the
That's
agent
correct.
would have to figure out how they're gonna, get those into an envelope and get them there directly from the producer.
Yeah, if they fill out the form, the AG form that has the address for TDA, and the reason why we let suggest the producer send it in to TDA, that way if it gets lost, it's not the county agent's fault, and they send that on in. So make sure the county agent signs that form. Those triplicate forms are available from TDA, either from Kathy Booker or Wilnetta Williams. You can either email either one of them. If you email them direct, it's a lot quicker, or you can call them on the phone. If you call them on the phone and tell them you need the triplicate form, that is 615-837-5148. That's 615-837-5148.
And then a follow-up question, if an agent has a recertification meeting and, they've got 20 people there maybe in a county, is it acceptable for them to collect money and then write a check from UT or the next day and send it all in? Or is there any problem with that, I guess?
I have no problem at all, just as long as they're charging the fee. And remember, if the person flunks the paraquat, they can take it as many times as they need to until they pass. They got to make 100% on that one. I prefer the person go online and do paraquat. That's where I'm pushing everybody to go. Tell the producer to go online and take the paraquat. That way it gets you out of the middle of things. But we don't charge for the paraquat training or testing. But if you're doing initial certification or recertification, yes, charge for those. And again, they have to make a 70% or greater. Recertification against $25, initials $50, and there's an additional $25 that's sent to TDA for that certification card.
Sounds good.
One more question, Daryl. The form, if I'm going to do a series of classes, recertification in my county, there's a specific form that I send you for permission, correct?
Yeah, and it's basically comes in, we get a school number assigned to it, so your private applicator or your commercial applicator will get credit for it. But for private applicators, that credit will not start until July 1st of this year. But you can go ahead and send one in now, because Kim was wanting those forms. She wanted to know where the schools were going on. Is the reason why she wanted it this year.
So if I'm doing one next week, I need to get this form and send to you or send to her?
Yeah.
And where do I find that form?
Go back to that PSEP site that I showed you earlier, and that it basically is an ANR site. I'll take you back to it again as soon as I get here.
While you're doing that, the school numbers, do we need to go ahead and get those numbers beforehand? Do I need to get those approved by you, or do I need to go ahead and just do that and then send it to you and get the number afterwards?
It's better to send me the request for a school number prior to the event. And the reason why I say that, TDA takes forever. They like it 30 days prior to the event. And we have that listed on the form. But I just want to let you know that they like it well in advance because it takes them a while to get it. They want the roster of attendees within 30 days of the event. So that's why we say get them into us to request as soon as possible. If you click on this form right here, I mean, not form, but click on that. When you get to the ANRCD site, you click on check this out. And if you go request for points for commercial applicators, that's the one we're going to be using for private, but I have not put it down here on private yet because there's no points at this time required for private, but will be come July 1st. So I have not made a new form for them, but if you want to fill that out right there, the EPP 82, and just put commercial / private on that when you send it in, you can do that.
So for my recertification, I'm going to have to request numbers from you first before I do a recertification.
But if you want to use these numbers for recertification that I've already issued,
okay,
you can use these numbers right here. These will be valid for commercial applicators this year, right here. Glyphosate, paraquat, dicamba, and the recertification training. I have not put a number up for initial. So if you're doing initial training, you can either fill out that AG form and send it in who attended, or you can request points from us. The reason why we got a points request, so commercial applicators, if they're attending, can get points.
Daryl, I have a quick question. And this may be repetitive, and if it is, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to wrap my head around it.
Okay.
So currently we have guys in our county that need to recertify. They do their recertification between now and June, and they are good through June 2026, right?
That's correct.
Okay. But starting July 1, they have to get 3 points between July 1 of this year and June 30th of 2026, and that rolls them over to 2029. Am I understanding
That's
correctly?
correct.
Okay, so what happens if they don't get those 3 points? Can they just do regular recertification in 2026?
Okay, if they do not get all those points in 2029, they would have to take initial certification over again.
So they have to get 3 points before June of 2026, or they cannot recertify. They have to do the whole thing over again.
Yeah, initial, which is 3 hours and 20 minutes.
Okay,
Plus take that exam.
so we need to offer something between July 1 and June 30, 2026. It gets them 3 hours of training, essentially.
Yeah, that may
Or
be
break
what
it
you want to do, or you may want to offer them a little bit. Most of the time, they're going to go to the dicamba training or paraquat training. Just depends on when they took the paraquat training. Because again, the paraquat training lasts for 3 years, and they can repeat the paraquat training once per year. And the year again will go within that certification cycle of June 1st. July 1st to June 30th, so they could repeat it if they wanted to.
Most of my guys are beef cattle farmers. I don't have a whole lot of row croppers, but most of my guys are beef cattle farmers that are spraying pasture fields and hay fields. And quite honestly, they don't really want to watch the dicamba and the paraquat because they don't use that. They want something that's more applicable to them. Do we have any resources for that?
Oh,
Something we could look for.
glyphosate's one right now. Hopefully we'll have another one out on a different product next year, or either a different type of training. I'm wanting to put one together for forage producers. Just haven't got there yet. If I happen to get one off the new weeds person that fills Neil Roads and get a video there, hopefully we'll have that available.
Okay, thank you.
Or if you want to put together a presentation yourself, you can always also use that, as long as it deals with pesticides, the identification of the pest, the life cycle of pest, the pesticide and its effect on endangered species, water quality, stuff like that. and pesticides, you can, and if it's at least 50 minutes or longer, you can get a point for it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, it's starting to get a little bit quiet. Daryl, we might be in good shape. Anybody else have a quick question? All right, so just a reminder, Kim Brown is also going to lead an online training this Friday, January 20 at 10 a.m. Eastern time or 9 a.m. Central time. If you are going to do that one, you can register in Super, and the online session will be held in Microsoft Teams. It will also be available for later viewing. The meeting login is in an email from Kim Brown sent on January 13th. And the super link was actually sent out yesterday, on Monday. It's not necessarily a requirement to attend that one. I don't think if you're here, unless Daryl says different, but it might not be a bad idea to hear this from a couple different angles. And she will be able to share that Google Drive link and show you how you can upload the tests into Google Drive and not have to mail those in the mail or email them to her. Let's see what else. And you may not be familiar with Kim, but she is an extension specialist located at the West Tennessee Ag Research and Education Center. And my understanding is she's working in a new position to support the PSEP program. Daryl might have more information, but I just want to give you a little background there.
Yeah, I do have a little bit of information. She is working with this program. West Tennessee's got a lot more private applicators, so they felt like I needed some assistance in the program, which I do. And so she was hired, and so she's working 25% PSEP, 25% CAPS, that's a Cooperative Agricultural Pest Survey, and then she's working 50% with turf grass, more of homeowner-related turf grass issues to help folks out with disease, insect, as well as weed control and maintaining a nice aesthetically pleasing lawn is basically what it is. And then I think she's also doing some work kind of helping out until they replaced Tom Sample's position.
Very good. All right. Well, thank you for being with us, Daryl. I think we've learned a lot, and you've taken us through to show us everything we need. I know everybody in the Eastern region has those thumb drives, except for Carter County, where we have a vacancy. So we should be in good shape between the online resources and the thumb drive. So thank you for providing those.
You're welcome. If you need anything else, don't hesitate to give me a call. If I don't call you right back, it's probably because I have a training meeting going on, and I'm sorry about that. I do a lot of commercial applicator training, and so people can't get to me right away, but I try to get back with you within 24 hours, unless I've got 2 training meetings back to back, and I rarely have that. But again, my phone number here in the office is 865-974-7958. That's 865-974-7958.
All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate you being with us. So we might have a pretty brief discussion because it is 11 o'clock already. It's hard to believe. Are there any announcements or anything anybody wants to share before we sign off this morning?
For those interested who have row crops in their county or who have producers who might be interested, grain conference is this Thursday. We'll be starting between 8:45 and 9 o'clock at the McMinn County Higher Education Center. So just a heads up, and I'm sending an email here shortly.
Just got it, Ryan.
Hey, Ryan, if you would give me a call after this.
Yes, sir. Sure thing.
Any other announcements?
Cotton County and Greene County are having a pasture and weed meeting on March the 6th, I think. Free to attend. We're working with our co-ops to get that sponsored. So if anybody has any producers that want to attend, they're more than welcome to send them our way.
Very good. Well, I know there's a lot going on, and a lot of it you're already into and started with programs here this winter. You saw an email from me with several upcoming events, so just check that out. And there's a whole lot of opportunities in January and February to go and do things and have in-services and just all kinds of stuff. Remember, you're welcome to jump on that trip up to the National Farm Machinery Show. The last I looked in Super, we only had 2 signed up. It was Greg Upchurch and John Goddard. There may be more at this point, but that sounds like a pretty fun crew to take a road trip with if I ever had to pick a group. And I know some of you are going to pick Tennessee that week, and that's great too. It was unfortunate that we conflicted, but that's just life. So we kind of had to choose, and we wanted to give everybody the opportunity to do something different this year. So I think that, and unless anybody has anything else burning on their mind, we'll probably sign off, but I'm going to stay on here for questions or comments or anything for just a minute if there's anything else that y'all want to bring up. And if not, thanks for being with us today. Thanks for everything you do. Keep up the good work, and we'll see you down the road.
Hey, Ty, quick question.
Sure.
I meant to catch you last week when I was there, but do you have any availability on February 13th? Just for like probably 20 or 30 minutes. So we're doing a project leader retreat there at the Eastern Region office, and that's going to be 9:30 to 2:30. And if you were available, I thought it might be cool for them to just, meet you, but also maybe hear from you about what the Master Gardener program looks like at the regional level, and from your perspective, maybe.
Yeah, I'm supposed to actually make a trip to Carter County that day, but we haven't totally firmed it up. What time is your meeting?
So it starts at 9:30, and kind of what I was envisioning is opening the meeting 9:30. I would talk for maybe 2 or 3 minutes, and then either you or Neil's going to be there all day. So, depending on your schedule, I was thinking just that first maybe 10-15 minutes. So probably would be looking at like 9:35 to 9:45, 9:50, whatever. Whatever would work for you if you could do that. But if not, it's not the end of the world. I just forgot to ask you about it.
Yeah. Let me check in with Carter County, because we had held the whole day, but I may not need to get up there till the afternoon. And then let's talk again if you don't mind, and we'll see if we can work it in. I think I'm pretty optimistic that ought to work.
Okay, that sounds good. Just let me know and we'll we'll work it out. So
okay, sounds great.
Thank you.
For the invitation.
Mm-hmm.
See ya. Adam and Ty, I see you're still in. I just want to make sure you guys didn't need anything. And Billy, I see you're here too. If there's anything I can do for you, let me know. Otherwise, I may shut her down here in just a minute.